Since this is Samhain, let me tell you an ancient tale from my homeland. This is the Feast of Bricriu, the Champion's Covenant. Who is the greatest among the Red Branch warriors? Which of the three High Champions of Ulster? Who will take the champion's title at Owen Macha? Who among them will claim the champion's portion in the court of King Conchobar? One time the Ulstermen were in Owen Macha, tired out after the gathering and the games. King Conchobar and Fergus MacRoich were there with the rest of the Ulster warriors. They came in from the field of contest and sat in the royal court, the Red Branch of King Conchobar. Neither Cuchulainn, nor Conall the Victorious, nor Lawyer the Triumphant were there that night, but a host of Ulster's other valiant heroes were seated in the hall of the Red Branch. It was eventide, and the day was drawing towards its close. Suddenly they saw a giant, a through-other being with disfigured features, coming in upon them into the great hall itself. It seemed that none of the Ulstermen could reach half the height of this creature. Clardy and horrible was this creature, and round his body he wore a great dark dun mantle coat. Over his shoulder, for shelter, he slung a great spreading tree branch. This tree club was big as a winter shed, under which 30 bullocks could find shelter, so they could. He looked famished, with stark yellow eyes popping out of his head. Each of his 2 eyes was the size of an ox cauldron. Each finger on his giant fist was the size of a warrior's wrist. In his left hand, the tree club was big enough burden for 20 yoked oxen. In his right hand, he had a great gleaming axe. It must have taken 3 times 50 crucibles of molten metal to have forged that giant weapon. Its handle was near big enough it would take a plough team to move. So sharp was it that if the wind was blowing hairs against its edge, it would see the fine strands cut in twain. With that appearance, the giant went and stood beside the fire, with his head reaching the fork beam rafter. "Is our great hall lacking in enough room for you?" says Duach, the chaffer, to this Clardy footer. "That you can find no other place to stand than with your croon in the roof beams? Do you wish to be a candlelight holder for the hall? But I think you would sooner see the hall ablaze than cast any kindly illumination upon us." Then the creature spoke. "What may be mine is mine. In truth you will see that I be large and dreich. I shall illuminate the gathering, and the hall will not be burnt. But this is not my sole function, for I have another purpose. Neither in Erin, nor in Alba, nor in Europe, Africa, or Asia have I found this. Not in Greece, nor Scythia, nor the Isles of Cadiz, the Pillars of Hercules, and Bregan's Tower. I have quested far, and I have not found a man who will give fair play to my challenge. Since you Ulstermen excel all others from foreign lands in your strength, prowess, valour, rank, dignity and truth, generosity and worth, get me one amongst you who will grant me the favour I crave." "In truth," says Fergus MacRoich, "bad indeed that the honour of a people should be slandered because one man fails to keep his word. Death must be nearer to him than to you, for a man to shun his honour. Better make your quest known to us then, and if I deem it fair play, I will allow it." "It is right to give fair play," says Cincha, son of Ahil, "for I ken that no folk of a clan may break a mutual covenant for the sake of any one individual, So I hope that you, at long last, may find a person here worthy of your quest. Then the giant spoke. I call not on King Conchobar on account of his sovereignty. I set Fergus MacRoich aside on account of his equal rank. But except for these two, is there any champion who would venture? Come forth this moment, and I will cut off his head, and he may cut off my head tomorrow night. Says Duach. Sure, there is no warrior here who would submit to that. Sure there is, right now, says Munramur MacGurgand, and he sprang forward. In that moment, Munramur had the strength of 100 warriors, and each of his arms had the might of 100 centaurs. Bend down, Backlack, says Munramur, so I can get my reprisal in first. I will cut your head off tonight, and you may cut off mine tomorrow. Then spoke the Backlack. If that were my quest, I could have found that reply anywhere I've been. Act according to our covenant, says Munramur. I'll cut off your head tonight, and you avenge it tomorrow. By the God of my people, says Duach the Chaffer, death will be coming for Munramur if that giant has the power to suffer the killing blow, for he will return the next night, and the night after that, seeking what is due him. The Backlack spoke. I will do as this gathering agrees, and hold yous all to this pledge. My death blow tonight, and a killing blow on the challenger tomorrow. They all agreed to this, and with that Munramur took the great axe from the hand of the Backlack. 7 feet apart were its 2 blade edges. Then did the Backlack stretch his giant neck out across the killing block, and Munramur dealt him a blow with the axe, so powerful that it struck the block beneath. Off his head fell, severed by the axe. It tumbled to the base of the fork-beam pillar, on the great hall filled with an outpour of blood. But straightway the Backlack rose. He recovered himself and stood. He stashed his severed head beneath his arm. Then he lifted his great axe from the block and left the hall, blood still streaming from his neck. This blood filled the floor of the Red Branch. Great shock and horror was felt by the Ulster folk who witnessed this marvel. By the God of my people, says Duach the Chaffer, if the Backlack returns tomorrow, he will demand his due. We agreed this pact. He won't leave one man alive in Ulster. The following night, the Backlack returned, but Munramur shirked him. So the Backlack spoke. It is not right for Munramur to avoid me. It is not proper for him to break his covenant with me. But that night, Lawyer the Triumphant was there in the royal hall of the Red Branch. The Backlack spoke. Will any of the warriors who contest the champion's portion carry out this covenant with me? Where is Lawyer the Triumphant? Here, says Lawyer. And so Lawyer pledged himself and delivered the death strike to the Backlack. But he was nowhere to be found on the next night when the Backlack returned. Likewise, Conall Cernach pledged, but did not come back the next night as he had sworn. So, the 4th night the Backlack returned. He was fierce and furious against the men of Ulster. All the ladies of Ulster had come along that night to the Red Branch to see this strange marvel. Cuchulainn was there too. Then the Backlack began to slander the Ulstermen. Men of Ulster, says the Backlack, Your valour and prowess are finished. Your warriors desire the champion's portion, but none dare contest my challenge. Where is that sleek and daft imp Cuchulainn? Is his word any better than the others? Sure, I want no covenant with you, says Cuchulainn. Aye likely, says the Backlack. Cuchulainn, more like Cuchulainn. Filthy fly, you must greatly fear death. Cuchulainn gave a buck leap at him and swung the axe like a hurling stick. His head came clean off and smacked against the rafters, so hard the whole red branch hall shook. As the head fell down, Cuchulainn caught it on the axe again and smashed it. But still the Backlack rose up, took what was his, and left the great hall. On the morrow, all the Ulstermen had their eye on Cuchulainn, to see whether he would shirk the Backlack, as the other heroes had done. But as Cuchulainn awaited the Backlack, they saw a great dejection fall upon him. They could have sung his death lament, for they felt sure his life would end when the Backlack came. Then Cuchulainn said with solemn words to King Conchobar, You will witness my pledge to the Backlack fulfilled. Death awaits me, for I choose death before dishonour. Then, as the day was closing, they saw the Backlack approaching. He spoke. Where is Cuchulainn? Here I am, Cuchulainn answered. You're dull of speech tonight, unhappy one, says the Backlack. You must greatly fear death, but, though your fear is great, you have not shirked your pledge and duty. So Cuchulainn went up to him and stretched out his neck across the killing block. But the block was of such great size that his neck reached only halfway along it. Stretch out your neck, the Backlack says. Stretch out your neck, you wretched thing. Quit tormenting me, says Cuchulainn. Dispatch me quick. I didn't torment you last night. Truthfully, I swear that if you torment me further, I will call forth my battle frenzy. I will perform the torque of distortion and make myself as tall as a heron above you. I cannot slay you, says the Backlack, for the block is too large and your head is too short. So Cuchulainn performed his torque. He stretched out his body so that a warrior's fully grown foot would have fitted between any two of his ribs. Then he lowered his neck till it reached the other side of the block. So the Backlack raised his axe till it reached the roof beams of the royal hall. He raised both his arms aloft, ready to strike with all his might. As the axe swooshed downward, the hall timbers creaked and rattled like a tempest in the forest. Down it came on the neck of Cuchulainn, with all the Ulster folk standing transfixed by the sight. But the killing blow stopped short and did not sever Cuchulainn's head. The Backlack reversed the blade and laid the blunt side on the naked neck of Cuchulainn. Arise, Cuchulainn, says the Backlack. Of all the warriors of Ulster and Erin, no matter what their merit, none can be compared with you in valour, bravery and honour. From this hour onward, you are the greatest of Ireland. Yours is a champion portion undisputed. Your lady is foremost above all women in the great hall. I swear by my people's God that whoever disputes this claim will not be living long. Then the Backlack vanished. It was Cuchulainn MacDair, who had come in that guise to fulfil the promise he had given to Cuchulainn. And thus, among the Ulster heroes from that time on, the champion's portion of the Red Branch warriors in the hall of King Conchobar was the honour of Cuchulainn alone. The end.